Hi, AT from CNC at Home. I was wanting to design a coaster that could be given as a gift to the players on my daughter's basketball team. Something with the school logo on it, the date, the player's name, and their jersey number. To start out, I'm going to bring in my template. I have a template that I used for coasters. This template is basically a 109 millimeter square with a slight offset square inside of it. That will give me a good working area for this project. The next thing I want to bring in is the school's logo. So let me grab that and bring that in. We don't need the entire thing. I just want the shield part of this. What I'm going to do is right-click and do a trace image. On the trace, since I only want this portion of it, I'm going to use my mouse, click and drag, and create a box just around the shield. By doing that, this will only trace this area. That looks good. I'll go ahead and click OK. I'm going to fill this layer so we can see what that looks like. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to need a little more room on here, so I'll have to shrink that up just a little bit. Maybe something about there. Okay. So I could put this in the middle. I'm also going to want to have a basketball. So I think what I'll do is I will center that. I'm going to press Shift, grab the whole area there, and then just do a center on that so it's right in the middle. And then using the arrow key, I'm just going to bump that over some amount. We'll see what it looks like when I bring a basketball in. I should have something in my art library under sports. I'll go ahead and bring in a basketball. It's a bit on the large side, so we'll just shrink that down a little bit. Bring that in. Okay, let's take a look at this. All right, might be a little big. Let's see. Might shrink that up just a little bit. And I'll get that centered vertically on here. I'm going to slide the shield over just a little bit so we're closer to the edge. Take the basketball, slide it over to the edge. Something about like that. Up on top, I'm going to put the year, and then down here I'm going to put the player's name and their jersey number. Instead of typing that in individually, I want to do that as variable text. So to do that, I will first come on and say that I want text here. We'll go ahead and middle align that. This will be a %0. That may look odd, and what that means is it's going to take the first value, because our file is 0 based, so the first value is always 0. I'm going to say grab the first value in my comma separated values file, which looks like this. So as we can see in this file, I have the players' names as the first value, or column 0. Then the next value is their jersey number, and the next or last value is the season. This is going to be for the 2023-24 basketball season. I toyed with just having that as a fixed value on the coaster. What this will allow me to do is, if it makes sense, I will put a bigger range on here for some of the people that have been in the team longer. I could put 2022 through 24, something like that. So this is what our comma separated file looks like. So this first row is row 0. The first value is value 0, then value 1 and value 2. So let's get those put on here. We'll do some text down here for their name. So we'll do %1 for the name, and I'll put a dash, and then %2. Yeah, I'm getting this all mixed up. Look at my own file. This is the name. This is the jersey number. And then the date for up here, that actually was the third field. So it'll be value number 2. We will need to get this set. Let me get out of here. Select it. I need to tell it that this is a merge or merge/CSV value. And the same with this. This is going to be merge CSV. Now for this project, I'm going to come over to my variable text tab. If you don't have this, it's not on by default. You want to come up to your Windows and turn this on. Just select it to turn that on. What I'm going to do is click Browse and go to the file that I was just showing you. Now that I have the file associated, I should be able to click Test and the values will show up over here on the tile. And they do. The issue is going to be it's a bit big for the text. This particular one works fine, but if I go to the next one with a bigger name, you can see how that scrolls off both sides of the tile. So we'll need to shrink up the name field. I also want to shrink this up just a little bit as well. I think I'm going to make that 20 millimeters size, and this, we'll take that all the way down to 16. Okay, that looks a little better. I may change the font on this too. The school's font is a little chunkier, so I think I might go to maybe the Arial Black. Make that just a little darker. The same down here. See what that looks like. Okay, it still fits. What I'd like to do is make sure this is centered, so I'm going to select that, pick my working square while holding the Shift key, and then I will do the other one. Alright, do the same for this one. Make sure that it's centered up. Alright, what does that look like in the preview? Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I can make this just a little higher. I'm going to hold the Control key so it only moves a millimeter at a time. Get that fairly close to the top. I'll take a look. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. We can have this set up to auto advance. And what that'll allow me to do is I burn a tile, and then the next tile I burn, this will automatically increment to the next tile. So if you're doing a bunch of these, that's a really slick way to not have to think too much. Just have your fixture in place, put your product, your material, do the burn, put the next one in place, and just start it and have it automatically grab the next name. This is all ready to burn. I wanted to go over quickly the cut layer that I have set up on this. I am using 2 different layers set up on the same one. LightBurn has a multi-layer feature available. My first one is a fill, so I've got my parameters for speed and power set up, and I'm using fill. My second layer of this layer, or my second part of the multi-layer, using the same parameters except the mode is line. What this will do is as it's cutting, it'll fill in, and once it's done, it'll come around and do the edges. That makes the letters and the images look a little sharper. We'll do a preview and you can see how that does this. Let me just back up the burn a little bit, and it's doing fill, 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 fill. When it gets done with the fill, you can see it's going around the edges. I'm going to put this in kind of a slow motion. I'm going to do 1/5 speed, and we'll start the play. As you can see, now it's going around and tracing the outside. This is now that second part of the layer where it's tracing the outside edge of each of the burns. As I said, this helps clean up a little bit of the jaggedness that can happen when you're just scanning back and forth. I've used this before, and this method works really well for cleaning up letters and stuff, especially when they're smaller. It really gives it a nice crisp look. This is all ready to burn. So let's go ahead and send one of these to the laser. We'll start out with tile 0, which should be Bonnie's. And I'll just double check my burn parameters. Okay, this is slightly different. This says 75 at 22. And what is this? This is for the other laser. So we should get that updated. So 2200, 75%. And we also have this at a different line per inch. This particular laser has a nice finely focused dot. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll do the same for our line part of the layer. And I'm going to create a new layer from that. I'm going to call this one tile. So it's part of the same thing. TiO2. And the description will be fill with trace. There we go. And that saves our two different parameters in our multi-layer layer. And we'll go ahead and save that to make sure we don't lose it. Let's go ahead and get this sent to the laser. I have a new mixture of titanium dioxide and denatured alcohol. It's basically 3 parts alcohol, 1 part titanium dioxide. I don't know if this will show up well on camera. I put in some food coloring, 2 drops, and there's just a slight pink color. I used it was purple, I think. I wanted something, but this will give me a little bit of color in there so it's not bright white. That should help when I put it on a tile so that I can see what's going down. Anyway, I'm going to give this a good shake. I've got some tiles prepped up, and I'll get the air gun out and get those coated. I'll get that over to the sink and cleaned up. Here's the end result from the basketball coasters. They both turned out fairly well. If you happen to know Annika, and I know some of the viewers do, don't tell her that I made a coaster for her. That's going to be a surprise in the future. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and a like. If you enjoy the content of our channel, think about subscribing, as that really helps us out. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.
Oops.